On a chilly Halloween night, in the small, forgotten town of Midnight Hollow, a sinister energy descended upon the streets, sending shivers down the spines of its few remaining residents. The town had a history tainted with tales of unsolved mysteries and eerie occurrences, but this Halloween would be unlike any other. In the heart of Midnight Hollow stood an old, decrepit mansion known as the Sinclair House. Its looming silhouette, shrouded in the shadows of overgrown trees, had long been the subject of local legend. In the late 1800s, the Sinclair family was said to have practiced dark rituals and sorcery, invoking malevolent spirits that haunted the town for generations. It was on this Halloween night that a group of curious teenagers decided to challenge their fears and venture into the infamous Sinclair house. Lucy, a fearless young woman with a penchant for the supernatural, led the group. By her side was Mark, the rational thinker who always found a logical explanation for the unexplained. Sarah, the sweet but easily spooked friend, clung to her boyfriend Jake, who was known for his impulsive daredevil stunts. Together, they approached the foreboding mansion. As they stepped through the creaking front door, their flashlights revealed an interior that time had forgotten. Dust-covered furniture, cobwebs, and faded portraits lined the walls. The air grew thick with a sense of foreboding, but their curiosity kept them moving deeper into the mansion. They reached a dimly lit hallway where a peculiar door beckoned them. With an eerie gust of wind, the door swung open, revealing a hidden staircase leading to the basement. The group exchanged nervous glances, but Lucy, with determination in her eyes, urged them to continue. Descending into the basement, the air grew frigid, and their flashlights flickered. Shadows danced menacingly on the walls, and an otherworldly whisper filled the air. The group reached an underground chamber that contained an ancient, ornate mirror, a relic from the Sinclair family's sinister past. This mirror was said to be a portal to the realm of the spirits. Lucy approached the mirror cautiously, her reflection distorted as she gazed into its depths. Suddenly, the mirror shattered into 1,000 shards, and a spectral figure emerged. It was the ghost of Elias Sinclair, a cursed soul from the past. His hollow eyes bore into their souls, and he began to recount the horrifying story of his family's descent into darkness. Elias Sinclair explained that, on a Halloween night much like this one, his family had conducted a forbidden ritual to gain unimaginable power. However, the ritual went terribly wrong, and the mansion became a prison for malevolent spirits, their souls forever trapped within its walls. The teens were now trapped with Elias Sinclair in this cursed place, and their only chance of escape was to complete the same ritual that had cursed the Sinclair family. But to do so, they had to collect 5 specific artifacts hidden throughout the mansion. The group embarked on a desperate search through the mansion's haunted rooms, each more terrifying than the last. They encountered vengeful spirits, witnessed unsettling apparitions, and narrowly escaped deadly traps. It seemed the very house itself conspired to keep them from their goal. As they uncovered each artifact, they learned more about the Sinclair family's sinister past. The artifacts told a harrowing story of betrayal, darkness, and madness that had led to their terrible curse. As the group collected the final artifact, they returned to the basement to complete the ritual. With trembling hands, they arranged the objects, lit the candles, and chanted the incantation. The room filled with an eerie, ghostly light, and the air grew icy. Suddenly, the mansion began to shake violently as the spirits trapped within it cried out for release. The ghostly presence of Elias Sinclair began to dissipate, and he whispered a final warning to the group. "The power you seek comes at a great cost. Beware." With a blinding flash, the room went dark, and the group found themselves back at the entrance of the mansion, as though nothing had happened. They clung to the artifacts, their hearts heavy with the weight of what they had witnessed. The haunted Sinclair house had vanished, leaving nothing but an empty lot behind. The curse had been lifted, but the town of Midnight Hollow would forever remember that fateful Halloween night. The group left the town with the artifacts in their possession, the weight of their power, and the knowledge of the darkness that once consumed the Sinclair family. As they departed, they couldn't help but wonder if the price they would pay for the power they had acquired was greater than they could have ever imagined. On a chilling Halloween night, in a remote village nestled among the gnarled trees and fog-covered fields, a sinister tradition was unfolding. The village of Wraithwood had been cursed for centuries, and every Halloween it bore witness to an eerie and blood-curdling ritual known as the Harvest of Souls. At the heart of the village stood an ominous, decrepit mansion known as the Dreyfus Manor. The mansion had a long history tainted with darkness and whispers of unspeakable horrors. It was said to be haunted by the vengeful spirit of Lord Victor Dreyfus, a malevolent sorcerer who had cursed the village generations ago. In Wraithwood, the villagers dreaded the arrival of Halloween. They knew that when the moon reached its zenith, the night would be filled with terror. Young and old alike shuttered their windows and locked their doors, fearing what the night would bring. Amelia, a curious and adventurous young woman, had grown up in Wraithwood. Unlike most villagers, she had always been intrigued by the stories surrounding the Dreyfus Manor. As the moon rose in the sky on that fateful Halloween night, she made a bold decision to explore the mansion and uncover the truth behind the curse. Amelia had heard tales of an ancient grimoire hidden within the mansion's library. Legend had it that this book held the key to breaking the curse and freeing the village from its eternal torment. Armed with only a lantern and her determination, she ventured into the foreboding manor. As Amelia stepped into the mansion, the air grew icy, and whispers echoed through the hallways. Paintings of long-deceased Dreyfus family members leered at her from the walls. She pressed on, following a faint ethereal light leading her to the library. Upon reaching the library, Amelia discovered the grimoire she had heard about. It was bound in ancient leather, and its pages radiated an eerie glow. As she began to leaf through the book, incantations and symbols danced before her eyes. Amelia soon learned that Lord Victor Dreyfus had cursed the village as an act of revenge. The villagers' ancestors had betrayed him and sealed his malevolent spirit within the mansion, forever condemning their descendants to suffer the curse. To break the curse, the souls of the living must be offered willingly to Lord Dreyfus on the night of Halloween. Amelia's heart sank as she realized the horrifying truth. To save the village, she had to collect the souls of those in Wraithwood and offer them to the vengeful spirit. Torn between her love for her village and the horrifying choice before her, Amelia decided to search for an alternative solution. She scoured the grimoire for answers and found a passage that spoke of a powerful artifact known as the Heart of Redemption. It was said to be hidden within the depths of the mansion, capable of severing Lord Dreyfus's connection to the village and breaking the curse. Determined to find the Heart of Redemption, Amelia delved deeper into the manor's treacherous, winding corridors. Along her journey, she encountered tormented souls, trapped between the realms of the living and the dead. They begged for release, but she could only offer them a sympathetic gaze, for she needed to focus on her mission. The deeper she ventured, the more malevolent the spirits became, trying to mislead her with false paths and whispered temptations. Amelia's resolve wavered, but she pushed onward, driven by her desire to save her village from its cursed fate. As Amelia reached the mansion's hidden chamber, she discovered the Heart of Redemption, a pulsating, otherworldly gem. As she reached out to touch it, a ghastly specter emerged, the vengeful spirit of Lord Victor Dreyfus himself. He hissed and threatened, but Amelia stood her ground. With a defiant cry, she plunged the Heart of Redemption into Lord Dreyfus's ethereal form. The mansion trembled, and a blinding light enveloped the room. As the curse was broken, the mansion and its sinister owner dissolved into nothingness. Amelia awoke in the heart of Wraithwood, the once dreadful village now bathed in the soft glow of dawn. The curse had been lifted, and its dark history was buried beneath the ruins of the Dreyfus Manor. The villagers, free from their generational torment, emerged from their homes, their faces filled with astonishment and gratitude. Amelia had saved her village from the harvest of souls and ensured that Halloween in Wraithwood would be a night of celebration, not horror. The curse was broken, and the village would never again be subject to the sinister traditions of its dark past. As the villagers gathered to celebrate their newfound freedom, they offered their heartfelt thanks to Amelia, the brave soul who had dared to challenge the curse and had triumphed over the malevolent spirit of Lord Victor Dreyfus. Wraithwood was finally free from the grip of darkness, and Halloween night would forever be remembered as a night of redemption and renewal. Halloween night had always been a time of celebration in the quiet, picturesque town of Samhain Hollow. The townsfolk would don their costumes, carve pumpkins, and partake in a grand festival. But this particular Halloween was different. It was a night that had been feared and shrouded in secrecy for generations. At the edge of Samhain Hollow stood an ancient, gnarled oak tree known as the Sentinel. It was said that the tree had been a witness to the dark rituals performed on this night long ago. On the eve of Halloween, the town's elders gathered beneath the Sentinel, carrying an eerie effigy they called the Wicker Man. The story was whispered from generation to generation. In the town's early days, it was believed that the Wicker Man was used to appease a vengeful spirit that haunted Samhain Hollow. The elders would choose a willing sacrifice from the town, place them inside the wicker structure, and set it ablaze, believing that the spirit would be satisfied and bring prosperity to the town. As Halloween approached, a sense of unease settled over the town. Locals whispered about the return of the Wicker Man ritual, and fear gripped the hearts of those who knew the gruesome history. It was rumored that the elders had already chosen a sacrifice, a young woman named Isabella, who had mysteriously vanished. In a town as small as Samhain Hollow, secrets were impossible to keep, and it wasn't long before whispers reached the ears of Thomas, a local teacher and historian. Determined to unravel the truth and rescue Isabella, Thomas delved into the town's archives, uncovering forgotten tales of darkness and deceit. As Halloween night descended upon Samhain Hollow, the eerie festivities began, but the celebratory air was tainted by an undercurrent of dread. Costumed children roamed the streets, but their laughter was hollow, and the adults exchanged somber glances. Thomas knew he had little time to act. Beneath the veil of darkness, he made his way to the Sentinel, the ancient oak that had witnessed centuries of horrors. There, he discovered the Wicker Man, a towering structure of intertwined branches and vines, large enough to hold a person. As Thomas explored the hollow interior, he found a hidden compartment that held a journal. It belonged to a historian from the town's past, and it contained detailed accounts of the ritual and the spirit the townsfolk sought to appease. The spirit's name was Moros, a malevolent force with an insatiable hunger for human souls. The journal revealed that the ritual was not a means to appease the spirit but a method to feed it, ensuring it would remain dormant for another year. The elders believed they were protecting the town, but in reality, they had been sacrificing innocent lives to a dark entity. With newfound determination, Thomas set out to disrupt the ritual. He knew he had to rescue Isabella and prevent the townsfolk from unwittingly perpetuating this sinister tradition. Venturing deeper into the woods, he encountered a small, hidden grove where Isabella was bound to a tree, her eyes filled with terror. Thomas worked swiftly to free her, whispering promises of escape and safety. Together, they hurried back to the Sentinel, but the town's elders were already assembled, the Wicker Man towering ominously above them. A crowd had gathered, their faces painted with the anticipation of the ritual. The sinister spirit Moros was awakening. With a resolute heart, Thomas confronted the townsfolk, revealing the truth about the ritual and the malevolent spirit they had unwittingly been serving. A murmur of disbelief rippled through the crowd, but some were reluctant to accept the revelation. As the moment of truth neared, Thomas urged the townsfolk to abandon the ritual and confront their dark past. The spirit Moros began to stir, its presence growing more ominous. It seemed to sense the disruption of its meal. In a daring act of defiance, the townsfolk turned away from the Wicker Man, and the momentum of the ritual faltered. The spirit Moros let out a furious wail, its form writhing and contorting. It was a moment of terrifying reckoning. With a final surge of courage, Thomas set fire to the Wicker Man. The flames engulfed the structure, consuming it and releasing a blinding burst of energy. Moros screamed in agony as the flames raged, then vanished into the night, leaving only ashes in its wake. As the fire died down, the town of Samhain Hollow was left in stunned silence. The curse had been broken, and the townsfolk had been freed from the dark legacy that had haunted them for generations. Halloween would never be the same again, but the people of Samhain Hollow would find a new way to celebrate, one that honored their history without sacrificing the innocent. Isabella, her life spared, stood as a symbol of hope and courage for the town. She and Thomas, now united by their shared experience, would be the storytellers of a new tradition, one that would celebrate the strength of the human spirit, rather than appease the darkness of the past. On the outskirts of a quiet rural town, there stood an ancient and eerie mansion known as Blackthorn Manor. Its towering spires and ivy-covered walls held a dark secret. The townsfolk whispered about it, especially on Halloween night, when the air turned cold and the moon cast an ominous glow upon the countryside. All Hallows' Eve in this town was a time of forbidden traditions. The mansion had been the site of an age-old rite, a seance meant to summon a malevolent spirit. It was said that this spirit, once invoked, brought curses and nightmares upon the town, ensuring that the evil remained hidden within its walls. A group of curious teenagers, determined to confront their fears, decided to visit Blackthorn Manor on this fateful Halloween night. Claire, a bold and fearless young woman, led the group. Beside her was Jack, the skeptical realist who always questioned the supernatural. Emma, Claire's best friend, clung nervously to her boyfriend Daniel, who was known for his daredevil spirit. As they approached the mansion, the night seemed to grow even colder, and an eerie mist enveloped them. Claire, fueled by her fascination with the supernatural, had heard stories about the mansion's history and the dark seance that had taken place. She was convinced that the legends were true, and she wanted to prove it. The group cautiously entered Blackthorn Manor through its imposing front door, and their flashlights revealed an interior that appeared frozen in time. Dust-covered furniture, faded tapestries, and cobwebs adorned the hallways. The air was heavy with an oppressive atmosphere that sent shivers down their spines, but curiosity urged them to venture further into the mansion. They soon arrived at a grand chamber, where a massive ornate mirror dominated one wall. It was said that this mirror held the power to connect the living world with the realm of the spirits. Claire, convinced that the key to uncovering the mansion's secrets lay within this mirror, approached it. As Claire touched the mirror's surface, the room darkened, and an otherworldly presence overcame them. The mirror began to shimmer and ripple, and they heard a mournful whisper. An apparition materialized before them, a specter dressed in tattered clothing, its eyes filled with anguish. The ghostly figure introduced itself as Samuel Blackthorn, a cursed soul from the past. He revealed the mansion's dark history. In the 18th century, his family had conducted a seance on Halloween night, seeking to communicate with the spirits. However, the ritual had gone horribly wrong, unleashing malevolent entities that were now trapped within the mansion's walls. Samuel explained that their only chance of survival was to perform a counter-ritual to seal the malevolent spirits away. To do so, they needed to collect specific items hidden throughout the mansion. The fate of the town and the spirits that plagued Blackthorn Manor depended on their success. The group embarked on a terrifying search, each room they explored revealing more about the mansion's cursed history. They encountered vengeful spirits, witnessed unsettling apparitions, and barely escaped deadly traps. It became evident that the very mansion itself was conspiring against them. As they retrieved each artifact, they learned about the Blackthorn family's descent into madness and their ill-fated attempts to control the spirits they had unleashed. The artifacts told a harrowing story of betrayal, obsession, and ultimate doom. The final artifact was found deep within the mansion's catacombs, a place saturated with darkness and echoes of forgotten suffering. The group returned to the chamber with all the artifacts, ready to perform the counter-ritual. With trembling hands, they arranged the items, lit the candles, and chanted the incantation. The room filled with an eerie, ghostly light, and the air grew icy. The mansion shuddered, and the spirits within it began to wail and scream in agony. The group felt an overwhelming sense of dread, as if the mansion itself was trying to resist their efforts. Just as the ritual reached its climax, the room went dark, and the group found themselves back at the mansion's entrance, as though nothing had occurred. The mansion was now eerily silent, and the malevolent spirits were gone. They left the mansion with the artifacts in their possession. The weight of the curse that had haunted Blackthorn Manor for centuries now lifted. Claire, Jack, Emma, and Daniel realized that their Halloween night adventure had brought them face to face with the supernatural, and they had successfully vanquished the darkness that had plagued the mansion. As they walked away from Blackthorn Manor, they couldn't help but wonder about the malevolent spirits they had encountered and the chilling secrets they had uncovered. The town, however, would never again be haunted by the horrors of All Hallows' Eve.